Sorry, I'm getting organized here. Color
That's
lecture.
okay.
Move that back.
Great.
More color.
Okay, so Catherine, when you asked me if there was going to be a challenge along with this, I said, yeah, we're going to do a line with color, and I'm going to talk about that. But really, I wasn't asked what the title of the lecture was, so I should have added that in. But it's really the power of color, and we've had a lot of lectures on black and white, but realizing early when we were talking about what to lecture on, we've never had a lecture on color photography. So of course I need to start out with a black and white image. We have color around us all the time, and our brains will see color when there is no color sometimes, because we know how to fill things in. That's how inundated with color we are. So what do we know in this looking at this stop sign, that it's going to be red? I can only assume the red dots on her dress would be red, or the reflectors going up to that are red, but I really am sure that that is a red stop sign. We also, and here are some other stop signs that are red all around the world. So we're not the only ones to use stop as being a red color, or emergency, or something to really pay attention to. When we see a picture of grass, we know, even if it were black and white, we understand that grass is going to be green. We understand that sky and water are blue. Oftentimes they can be green and other things, but our brain can put blue in there, no problem. What I want to talk about today is when you are shooting color, to be able to look around and discern if that color is helping your picture or not. And the better we become at that as photographers, we're able to harness the power of color and make a more powerful image. First, we need to look at a color wheel. We've all seen these since we were little kids. I love them. Color charts just make me so happy. But I love this one because it's so clear on the usage of the color wheel. So we can see lines that go from top to bottom will be complementary, and diagonally, the orange to the blue, we go primary colors first, the yellow and the red, the blue and the green. From those colors, you can make any color. We have complementary colors going from opposites. So we'd go red, the complementary color will be green. And with primary blue, go to orange. And yellow would be purple. So we're going to be using this color wheel through the lecture and thinking about these terms of primary and complementary. Now, Barbara's helping me today, and I'm going to have her take on some of the meaning of color. So before we get too deep in this, I'm going to have Barbara.
Can I make a comment?
You can.
That's why in our printers, it has those three primary colors.
That's right, because you can make any color from those colors. That's very good. Very good observation.
May I
And
ask a
another
question?
thing is green is not a primary color. It's made up of blue and yellow.
You're right. You're right.
Amy,
Absolutely.
can I ask a
Yes.
question?
Yes.
Can you go back to the color chart? When I think of those colors, the opposite, like the green and red, I kind of think they don't go together, like they're too contrasting.
Well, sometimes we want a contrasty image. And then we know, like, do you want to use that? Do you want the power of the contrast? But I'm going to talk about all different kinds of things that go together,
Okay.
and different ways to use color. It's just that you have to have a good grasp on what this is. And obviously Larry's got a better grasp than I, because he's right. Green is not a primary color. Thank you, Larry. Okay, Barbara, can you take it from here for a little bit?
Yeah, well, this is an example of different typical um, costumes in different countries. So I have the emotion of color. Blue is the #1 favorite color, by the way. It elicits trustworthiness. It's the sky, the sea, it's bravery. And pros and cons on that, some expressions like true blue friend, feeling blue, what in blue blazes. I think, to me, that indicates confusion. Green is for prosperity, youth, freshness, regrowth. It's the #2 favorite color. And some people use it in expressions such as green with envy, or being green, like you don't new at a job. Red, emotionally charged. It's a call to action. It indicates love, sex, romance. It's in stop signs. Expressions such as Red Letter Day, which is like memorable day. Seeing red, anger. Red flags, that would be red flags, meaning you see red flags, you think something is wrong, or
Pay attention.
yeah. Yellow, sunny, cheerful, optimism. It can also indicate sickness or cowardness. Someone is yellow or someone looks yellow. Purple indicates royalty, wealth, luxury. It's a favorite color of young girls. I know a lot of young kids that love the color purple. I'll do brown and white because they're grounded. The brown is like a grounded color. It's backgrounds for landscapes and provides the balance for more vibrant tones. And white is purity, good, clean. White picket fence. Doctors wear white. So there's the colors just bring out different emotions in people.
Mhm.
Holiday colors, flags of the world,
Or
or what?
yeah, just flags. I mean, that we're used to seeing all these bright colors and flags, and we start recognizing a group of
Right.
color just because we get so inundated with different. These are usually the colors they use in flags.
Right. There's holiday colors also. Red and green, of course, for Christmas, blue and silver, Hanukkah. Kwanzaa is black, red, and green. Pinks and pastels like for Easter, orange and black for Halloween. Those are just the favorite colors of those holidays.
And we get used to just looking at them and glancing and getting a feeling from those colors.
Right.
Those combination of colors conjure up memories. They conjure up a feeling of that holiday.
That's
So color can be emotional.
happiness.
Yellow. Barbara, do you want to talk about the emotion in color?
Cheerful, warmth, optimism. He's such a cutie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He just had to go in there, that yellow jacket on.
Yeah.
Here's a green portrait I found.
Is it green?
Yeah, she's got a green cast to her. She does not look good.
Green with
green-
envy,
Green with envy,
green with envy.
blue.
Yeah, cool. It's a cool color.
It creates an emotion of feeling somber, sad, pensive. We have red.
Red. Red
Blood
is
color.
emotionally charged, powerful. And these people look powerful.
Yeah, it's just that color just creates that powerful feeling. It just, it's like you can't step away from it. It just comes right at you.
Right.
It's a very aggressive color. Okay. And color could be storytelling. So Barbara, tell me about this, what the color does for storytelling in this one for you.
Well, that's my daughter and grandson years ago in Santa Barbara. And he is absolutely the apple of her eye, and vice versa. And vice versa. They are just, they're just, he's the best kid, and he loves his mom.
Yeah. And
He,
speaking of color, like I'm thinking of like her Levi's, that blue. It's a blue color, so it can be calming, but it's a Levi's, it is the color of Levi's. It tells you what she does in those pants. They're not dressy pants.
no,
That color is faded, so it tells you that she wears them. And the color of the landscape, it just gives me that fresh air. I can kind of see the wind in her hair, but it's like I can almost smell the landscape because of the color that's in it. I like the color of his t-shirt too, because that's a boy color. I mean, they like that bright, almost
Yeah.
neon color, and he's attracted to that. I mean, the rest of this picture is just phenomenal to me. It just, the strength in her stature and the casualness she's draped that arm across his shoulder is so protective and sweet.
and that is the story of them, even now. And
Yeah.
he's 19 now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was my very first, by the way, picture that I put in a show. And I got some nice compliments from total strangers when we,
Isn't that nice to
Yeah,
have
it was
an
really
image that inspires people to write a compliment or tell you? That's nice. Now here's this evokes a feeling for me. That green, it just seems cool and mossy, and I'm curious to know what that person is doing. Are they in looking for mushrooms? Are they? It's a beautiful image. The color of it is just so stunning to me.
and it draws your eye to that person, girl.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's a girl.
This one, Barbara picked this one out for color, evoking an emotion. The
It's-
color is not crisp and clear and happy like the yellow in the rain jackets. I mean, the color is somber, and he is destroyed. I mean, who knows if it's war or a flood, but the color goes with his emotion so much. It really is intense. I chose this one for color because color tells a story here. It's got that yellow ball, to me, is just water polo. They don't play water polo with blue balls. They play always with this
with you.
regulated yellow when they're competing. And I just love that green lane line that's, at the back at the side of the pool there, and then the black and that yellow. I just think the color really helps tell the story of this sport. This is a portrait. I think the color helps the story here. It was Easter morning,
Yes.
and they just came back from church, and it was a commission for me. And I just thought that just screams Easter. How can it not? It was just the sweetest
Oh.
group of sisters, and they just adored their little sister. That was very, you can just tell the love in this, but you can also tell by those colors that they're wearing, it was Easter. I think color tells a story here. I like the shot, but if it were black and white, I don't think it would be as striking. But I love the hot pink and the patent leather, and she's proud of these shoes. And she was very proud to model them for me when I said, "Oh, can I get a picture of these great shoes?" And she just, "Yes, you can," and just brought her heel up. I mean, I felt like it was Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz.
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit about color temperature. There's something called the Kelvin temperature scale, and they have numbers attached to the color range. And now you know about this when you go to Lowe's and buy a new light bulb, you're going to know that they have this temperature on the light bulb. So you'll be able to tell if it's a very cool blue or down to almost like a orangey color. Oh, I meant to replace this one. Natural daylight, in another image I have of this, in natural daylight would be in here between these two. Can you see my cursor on the?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can.
They'll be around here. Okay. This matters in photography because we can use, we'll go back and talk. It'll come back up again. I should have had this next to the portraits, but we can use color in a field of color or dots of color. And I'm going to show you some fields of color. Hello, come on. Okay, this one is orange.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a hillside with mustard. And here are dots of color. And either one's fine. It's just I want to train your eye to start going, do I want a field of color? How am I going to use the dots of color? Again, dots of color. One of the things that makes this striking is that I have some complementary colors going on. So I go from the orange to the purple in the back. So remember on the color wheel, it goes, those would be the line across. Those get contrasty. And Catherine was asking, well, how, the red and green gets so contrasty. Well, sometimes that's okay. That makes the image a little more vibrant. Here's dots of color. Here's where sometimes your color can go it can go wrong in an image. And I put in some images that I felt did not go so swell. There's so much color going on behind this mom and the baby that the subject matter just gets lost.
Mhm.
Right? So the color is
Yes.
beautiful. It's all very primary looking colors, but it doesn't do anything for me here. Here's another one where my dots of color. I worked so hard on this still life. It was years ago that I did this. I worked and worked and worked on it, and I could not figure out why I was not happy with it. When I finished it, I turned it in as the assignment, and I wasn't happy. And my teacher would I got like probably a C+ on it. And it was doing this lecture that I went, my color's all disorganized. It's dots of color everywhere. The composition of the items works fine. I've got the ladle kind of leading your eye into the pickles, and I got flow going on, but the color doesn't work. The color just doesn't work. It's just too busy of dots of color. Warm versus cool. Okay.
Well, to me, Amy, that last one is that glare on those two glass things are what draw me to it and distracted.
Oh, okay, well, glare could also be considered another dot of color. Right,
Right.
it's, sometimes we work on something so hard, you can't even see it anymore. It was one of those. So warm versus cool. And so here is water that is warm, and here is water that is cool. Here we go. I wanted to have that light bulb picture closer to this. So this is how it starts working for us, knowing if we want warm or cool. And so I shot this picture neutral, and I work on skin tones a lot because skin tones when you're shooting a portrait is pretty crucial. But I warmed it up on the left and I cooled it down on the right. And you can see the difference in the skin tone. Now you can also get light bulbs that do this. So you might be shooting something and the color just comes out funky. I mean, you can be under fluorescent lights, which are green. And that's why people do not look good under fluorescent lights. You know, we have cameras now, like cell phone cameras start correcting that out all on its own. It can pick up that it's fluorescent and it doesn't shoot green. When we used to shoot color film, people just come out green. But it's a subtle difference, but it makes all the difference knowing if it's cool or if it's too warm.
And I'd like to just mention, when I do go into Lowe's, I want the warm light, because it can change the whole look of a room.
Yeah.
And it's so disturbing to me when I get the very bright ones. But the warm light is the one
I go a little warmer myself for light bulbs in the house,
right.
in my dining room. Now my husband prefers the cold colors.
Oh,
And I think maybe because he worked in the hospital and to him that looks bright and clean and nice. And so there's over the dining room, we have one of each that kind of balance
balance it out.
Okay, here are some terms that I think are important when you're talking about color. And I tried to help out in my signage here to go with those terms. So analogous color are colors that are similar. Complementary colors are the ones on the opposite ends of the color wheel that look more intense. And dominant and recessive color, the dominant will stand out and the recessive, it's got color, but it wants to take a back seat to the image. So the first ones we're going to look at are analogous colors. So they're different shades, basically, of the same side of the color wheel. It doesn't have to be exactly just in one shade, but they all have to be kind of grouped together in the color wheel. Again, analogous, there's no flaming reds or oranges in this picture. It makes the viewer kind of want to dive into it.
Mm.
And this is also analogous. It's if there were yellow in here, it wouldn't make the cut. But the red is actually pretty close to the pinks and the purples and the greens. Well, the green would be the opposite of the red, but it's close enough that it doesn't stand out to me to be a non-analogous. Green is actually considered a neutral color too. This is another analogous. And again, all the sweet peas are the same side of the color wheel. Nothing bouncing out for color in this. No bright yellows, no hot reds. And this is a still life I did and I set up to have that warm light, that warmth. And no colors that were really taking center stage. I just wanted it to be about the items.
Nice.
Okay. Now we're going to go to complementary colors. This has got that red just feels like it pops out more. It's got more contrast in the colors.
opposite colors.
So we've got a lot of blue in that moth or butterfly. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm going to call it a pollinator. And those purple flowers make that yellow seem yellower to me. It just, the color really has a vibration to it. Again, because of the red and the green is why I chose this one. I took that in Hawaii.
Hmm.
He's a cute little guy, isn't he?
Mhm.
And here, this red really pops for me. I mean, it's like little dots of red just dancing through those foxtails. And here's a landscape where we've got blue and orange and yellows. We got the cool water and then that sunset. Okay, we've got dominant and recessive colors. So the yellow is definitely the dominant, and that brown fence is grounding, and the leaves are very grounding, but it's almost like a showcase for the sunflower. Again, same thing. It's just showcasing those white flowers. The hot pink, dominant color for sure. Dominates that green, it dominates that, the dark on the lower right side. And this is not normally a dominating color. It's kind of a muted color on itself, but because we have that recessive color behind it, that makes this blue stand out. Okay, this is where the dominating color can kind of not help you as a portrait photographer. That red jacket and hat just take over. I mean, it's on me and my friend took it, so I'm fine with it because I like that hat and I like that jacket. But if I were trying to do a group or something, that red jacket overpowers the man in the blue sweatshirt. Again, this is one that I feel that, what's the dominating color here? It's that darn blue bucket. There's the hero. I could crop it out, but when I just shot this job a couple days ago and I thought, oh, this is what I'm talking about. There's a dominating color because she's adorable. She just loves holding her baby in the water, but that blue bucket, it kind of wins out. Okay, we're going to talk about leading the eye with color. When do I talk about leading the eye? Well, this isn't a whole lot of color, but this really helps me talk about leading your eye. This ribbon helps you get through the image. You stop and look at the rings, and you stop and look at the font and where we're going and stuff, but that ribbon keeps your eye busy.
Nice.
The color keeps your eye going. It doesn't have to be a singular line of color, but I used color here to keep your eye just busy within the setup. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but we did this at the CLC.
Yeah.
It was a fun still life. I had everybody bring in their crap and clutter for us to start designing, and we took turns putting things into the still life using some still life rules that I had in my back pocket. Rise and fall, and shiny and dull, and dark and bright, and All of those elements went into this, but color is what takes you going in and out and it's just sort of wandering around the image. I shot this a few years ago and it's those red cups that take your eye back, those red glasses. I mean, they just, you can't help but just keep going back. I'm not saying this is one of my most successful images because I would like to have a line that kind of curves me back in, but this is getting the point across to having color taking your eye somewhere. Okay, you're on this one, your eye goes for these red berries and then you kind of see red berries in the back, but it's the red berries that make your eye go from cupcake to cupcake. Okay, I asked my friend Paul Martini to send me some things with color leading your eye. And okay, we got the rainbow. Okay, that's like a hero thing right there. But you also have this white line in the road and the yellow dots taking your eye back to that rainbow. It's wonderful image. He shot trains for years in the dark. He'd go out and wait. And so this is in pitch black and it's a very long exposure.
Wow.
And it had to be long to get all those stars up there too. It's another one of his train pictures. There's color, just takes your eye down. It even kind of gives you a little prize at the end with that little strip of yellow on the right side where the red stops. This is a jewelry shot that I did for a client where we just let the colors take your eye back. This is when I use color in a portrait. She's the artist and she wanted to shoot those. They were bracelets that was, she made wearable art. We were trying to shoot them using other things like fabric going through them. And I just said, just put them on. And then we did her portrait with it. It was great. I really like this portrait a lot. I like how the color, like it's so complicated. And then her arm and then her hand is just perfectly put, just placed. And then you end up with this colorful hair, lipstick, and then your eye goes back down to the color and you just kind of go, you can just shop around in that shape.
Works really well. Really.
Yeah, thank you. And this is the last shot. Well, we don't have a stop sign, but we've got a red car and it's the thing telling the story. I mean, it's that red car that catches your eye and then you go up to her face and then you go down her arms again, you go to that red car and your eyes stop there and then you go back to her face. So let's recap a little. We know that we can use color to lead your eye. We can use the power of color to make a color pop out when we want to. We know what to look for now. If we want that one flower to be beautiful, you can take it to some place that's got a recessive color behind it. Complementary colors can be used in your favor. Catherine, does that help you with complementary colors?
Yes.
Okay.
Seeing your examples where it's clear.
Good.
Totally.
Good. And then I didn't have a separate slide for analogous because I was getting kind of tired of making slides, but I think my choice of color here kind of explains that. We've got warm and cool. And we can use color with a whole field or dots of color in our compositions. We know that we can tell a story with color. Like, let's see the dots. Let's see. I was going to use that one. No, not that one. Sorry. I get this, the thing where I'm now sharing pops up and I can't see my next images. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
There.
Sure.
Okay. Dots. This is the one, dots of color. I could rearrange that color for it to be more impactful, but I liked the haphazard dots of color on this one. It just kind of shows what a beach scene looks like. Okay, warm versus cool, how that can affect skin or the overall feeling. Dots, field, storytelling, and emotion with color. Barbara did a good job going over those different occasions of emotional attachment that we have to color. And I hope that you understand now that the power of color. Yay, right?
Good job.
Yay.
Nice.
Did you guys
Very
mute
nice.
me? What happened?
Good example.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay,
I learned
gonna-
some new things.
stop sharing. Okay.
Nicely done, Amy.
Thank you.
Very good.
That was a big
Amy.
topic.
Amy, I have a question.
Yes.
Have you ever taken your color analysis that you've been doing with us today and look at pictures such as the Mona Lisa or other pictures of some of the great masterpieces?
I have.
you followed that? And
Yes, I
how
have. I
they-
have
How
studied
they
masters.
created that?
Mhm. I have studied the masters. I've had art history classes and thankfully I had teachers that were talking about the different palettes that different masters used and how they changed from era to era. You know, if you have one of the masters, like, you know, of course, I can't think of one right now. From the Mona Lisa, you move forward and get up to John Singer Sargent and how the whole palette changes. You know, it goes from 1700s to up to the 1930s. And it's like the artist doesn't even use that same vibration of color. They've changed it. They've made it brighter. And so, yes, I mean, I have studied color. I look at color a lot.
Did Vincent Van Gogh with Starry, Starry Night?
Starry, Starry Night, yes. And the haystacks and yeah, so color, I love color. And I know we do so much talking about black and white because people feel like they know color because they've been shooting color for so long. But, you know, since we've had camera in our hands in the 60s, and we were shooting color. And so, but I don't think people really understand the power that the color has.
The restaurants use color as
Mhm.
an enticement for you to eat more.
Restaurants make color to eat more. Hospitals use color to make you relax. Therapy offices are not in black and white, you know, they try to tone it down and have greens and blues that are just make you feel a little calmer. You go into Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
You get yellow and red and primaries are just hitting you over the head. So people they use color to sway our feeling about where we are.
Master chefs use color in their plate when they. plate
Yes.
something up. It's
Make it more
amazing.
appetizing,
Yeah.
almost like a painting now, right? It's like a painting that they use. When we were talking about the coolness and the warmth of color, is also something to be addressed is the vibration of some of these bulbs. Now, if you get an incandescent light that's on your nightstand, the vibration is like this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. If you go underneath two fluorescent long bulbs, you will find that the vibration is like this. And if you wear a ball cap or you cover your eyes when you go into Lowe's, you will feel your whole body just go, oh, thank you. You take it away and you get all that vibration going on. It's unnerving. It's unnerving when you realize it and you go test it. Grocery stores are now trying to go daylight, like daylight and fluorescent, but it's still kind of Costco is not bad. Costco usually uses these great big lights with reflectors. They're high up and they use a lot of skylights. And that's why I don't feel so nervous in Costco. I go into Ralph's and feel like, ooh, oh. Or Bed Bath and Beyond is one that makes me just go, I just have to cover up sometimes and get my head wrapped around what I'm doing.
So these
try
new
it out.
stores coming up like Aldi's, it's more of a small warehouse. And I think Aldi's is owned by Trader Joe's or owns Trader Joe's. But the lighting in each store makes you feel completely different. I mean, Trader Joe's is a lot more, it's got more warmth.
Mhm.
Aldi's is, I don't know if the ceilings are higher or the lights, but it's more of a warehouse
Uh-huh.
feel to the lighting.
Yeah.
And in my head, sometimes I really would rather shop at Trader Joe's, no matter what's in Aldi's.
Yeah.
But they're actually owned by the same people. But some of the warehouses, I don't know, you can tell the difference. It's just warmer
Mhm.
light at Trader Joe's.
Mhm.
Sprouts is good. They have very soft lighting at Sprouts too. right?
Sprouts,
Yeah, yeah.
there's
It's-
a wealth of ideas for in this lecture for the weekly challenges.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
spent about 4 or
Holy
5
cow.
weekly challenges.
Yeah.
What were some of the references that you used, Barbara? Do you remember the websites or wherever you got some? Because
Pexels,
rocks-
yeah,
in
go ahead.
rocks, we use the colors and different combinations of stones to mean certain things. And it's amazing how when you go to one website, they use one definition for a particular rock, and then you go to another, it'll vary, but very similar in many, many ways. What were some of your references?
I can't remember the name of the websites. One I think was Pexels, Pexels. But I Googled and just, yeah, they were a little bit different, but generally speaking, not that different. And Amy gave me a wonderful website.
Most of my stuff came from this book that I found on Amazon. And it is called, the long title, Color, A Photographer's Guide to Directing the Eye, Creating Visual Depth, and Conveying Emotion
Wow.
by Jared Foster. It was
It's
really,
interesting.
really
Years
good
ago,
book.
I used to manufacture paint.
Oh.
And Sears and Roebuck had the whitest white paint you could buy on the market. Their secret was they used titanium white, which is supposedly pure white, and then they added a drop of black. And that made it more white for whatever reason. It was amazing when I started studying colors in paint, because you've got the undertone of the varnishes that you have to deal with. But it's amazing how you can make those colors.
You know what, we kind of cut out a little section because I thought it was going to go too long, but I have minutes left. There's
did a
some
great job. Keep it up.
vocabulary that's good to know. Next time you go to a cocktail party. Hue, tint, shade, and tone. The hue is the color, like red. The tint is when you add white and you make it pink. A shade is when you add black and make it a darker red. And tone is when you add a neutral gray to keep it not either going up and down, it just sort of deadens the color. If that, I know you can't kill color, but it mutes the color by adding gray.
And aren't those some of the things that are in Lightroom?
Yes, but yes, they are in Lightroom. The term shade is the one that usually gets most confused out in the world, because so people will say, isn't that's a beautiful shade of blue? Well, that doesn't really tell it, really what they mean is they like blue, they like that particular blue, but it could be a baby blue. And they say, I love the shade of that. Yeah, well, it doesn't have any black in it, but the people don't know. I mean, but this is how it goes. And it's most people that are painters talk like this. Photographers don't usually, but a lot of photographers don't really talk color either. There's not a lot of lectures, there's more lectures on black and white now than there are on shooting color and how to use color in your images. So I thought that was interesting. Photography, light is color. You have to have light to see the color. If the less light, the less you see the color, the more muted and down it gets. Paint is the opposite. White is the absence of color and black is all color.
Mhm.
That is good at a cocktail party too. People are going to think you are super smart when you come up with that one. They're going to go, wow.
So
You mentioned tone too, and in Photoshop, I always click on tone. The first thing I do with a picture, and it generally improves the picture. I don't know why you say it. Tone is adding gray to an image.
Yeah, well, because you might be clicking on where they remove some of that gray and it makes your colors pop a little more.
Oh, maybe that's it, because pictures even come out looking sharper, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know what goes on there. Once in a
What's going
while,
on there?
it'll ruin the color, but generally it seems to improve it.
I think it takes out some
Yeah.
of the neutral in it.
Yeah.
Amy had me look at a website called sensationalcolor.com, and there is so much in there.
It's fun. It's like you just, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's just a wealth of information about sensational color. You got to look at that website.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
One of the easiest ways to get better color in your photographs right away is clean your lens. You don't have to be Kevin and run out and get a new lens. Well, he likes them because when he gets them, they're clean, I think. But clean your lens, keep your lens clean. Keep your computer screen clean. I mean, a lot of people just open it and use it and it's getting dull and we're getting this like looking through
That
sheetrock.
happened to me, yeah.
Just keep
Yeah.
cleaning and clean the camera before our class so our pictures are clear when you can see each other. And then clean your glasses. If you wear glasses, make sure they're clean before you go out shooting. That's what you have to do. It's an easy, cheap solution to better color in your lives.
Most people are familiar with National Geographic magazine.
Of course.
This is a coffee table book from National Geographic.
Oh,
Ooh, that's a pretty one.
sure, it's gorgeous.
Man, they do top-notch stuff, don't they?
Absolutely.
I think we were all raised on National Geographic.
And I
It's the
think
magazine my grandfather and I could agree on. And we were excited when the new issue came. That was something we had together. It was like excitement for that new issue. And he'd
Has
tell me,
anyone
don't you
made their-
open it till I get there.
yeah. Has anyone made their own coffee table book?
I have.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
they're fun.
Yes,
They're fun to have.
of their own images.
Yeah. I did one on my water, I called it Waterworks or something. And I went out to the Seal Beach for a year with a Canon G7 in watertight housing. And because I'm a swimmer, I open water swim. And so I just carried that camera a year out there. Sometimes we paddled if the water was not swimmable, but I got some really nice shots. I wanted to do that because I felt like I'm not going to be able to swim all my life. And I wanted to remember how nice it is out there and what it looks like in all different light conditions, because the beach is different every time you go. I don't care how many times you go out there. Every time you go, God, it's a little bit different than I've ever seen it before.
a lie.
That's a book I use periodically.
Oh, there you go.
It's an old book, but it has all the different colors. It's got the
Color doesn't change.
Yeah, it's got the emotions and everything in it. It's amazing.
Yeah, oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's why I so wish we were still at the CLC because we could all bring in our books and share them. But we do this, and this is good too. This is good too.
Right.
Anybody
Well,
else questions on color? Any other questions on anything?
Just a feather in my cap. If many of you remember the Olympics that were in town several years ago at the Los Angeles Olympic 82, 84, something like that.
80,
I-
yes,
I
84.
happened to,
86.
86, I think it was 86.
86.
Uh-huh.
I happened to be the person who made all of the paint for all of those venues.
Oh,
color-
wow.
The color people came to me and said, we want to make this magenta color. And I said, well, you can't make that color because it's made with a lithograph paint, coloring instead of paint. And
Paint.
because paint has the underlying hue of the varnish, it's changing the color. And she argued with me. And so I went to bat with her, and we went down to a color house in downtown LA where they create pigments. And the only thing we could get even close was a special diluting red that we had to order out of Columbus, Ohio. It's the only place they made that particular diluting red. And we were able to make the color, but it wasn't perfect to her eye, but it was enough that she could accept it. So I ended
Wow.
up making about, I think, close to 50 or 100 barrels, 55
barrels.
gallon drums of those different colors. Yeah, that was my last big hurrah in the paint industry.
Wow. You said you worked for Sears in the paint department?
No. I worked for a small independent gentleman over here in Carson, California.
Got it.
And his father was the first paint chemist on the West Coast back in 1918 or something like that. I don't remember.
Wow.
And they consolidated paint in downtown LA. And I've known the family for years, so I worked for him, and we made all that paint. Yeah,
That's awesome.
amazing.
I worked for Sears paint department back in the early 80s. I was
Yeah.
mixing paint.
Wow. When you pick a color and you think it's just what you want, I always say get one shade lighter, because you think I want a peach color and it turns out to be tangerine. And is that right?
Yeah,
And
terracotta. In fact, I have to get a sample, and I just do big old patches on different walls because the light
Yeah.
changes it. I've got one color that I
Yeah.
like in my house. Well, I use a couple colors, but this one, the base color really came from a color that I painted my deck. I painted my deck the same color as Long Beach mud. I went to the paint store and said, can you match this? I'm tired of sweeping this deck. And the kids and the dogs are just putting mud on the deck. So they did their color thing. They matched it. And then on the inside, I went 2 or 3 shades lighter. So I actually have a variation. This is behind me, Long Beach mud, but a tint of Long Beach mud. And a girlfriend came over and she goes, I love the color in your living room, but I'm not so keen on it in your bathroom. And I said, same can of paint.
same kind of,
Like-
yeah.
What it is this looks greener because I have a deck that I'm facing right now full of green plants, and that reflects in, and she liked the green feeling that this had that the bathroom doesn't have. Color's amazing.
I did have a couple, 2 rooms in my hall, and I wanted a camel color, and they can be very yellow or they can be kind of pinky.
Mhm.
And so I just took a box, a paper box. And I said, this is the color, like a brown paper bag.
Yeah, yeah,
That's probably the true color, camel.
right.
A lot of them were very pinky or very
Yeah.
yellowy. And
Yeah, no, a camel is one I've had to chase. you know, the camel and taupe. I mean, these are really like, what is taupe? It's just like brown with some pink in it, you know, it's like
Yeah.
mix a bunch of stuff in there and come up with taupe. It's not even a real color, you know, they make up color names. I also do love color names that people come up. I sort of have a little collection of them. I had a tube of lipstick once called Hush. I'm like, what color's Hush?
64 box, the box of 64 colors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the colors that they used to hand out at Home Depot, it was like a long thing about that thick, you know, it was,
Oh, the ones that the fans?
yeah, and
Yeah.
I brought it home. I think I brought it home. They signed it out to me
Oh,
and I couldn't get it back fast enough because it was making me ill just looking at it. And so I'm always looking at the pamphlets that have more
yeah,
designer type colors.
yeah.
You know, this, you can't pick from
A
the
little,
pan.
little tiny swatch on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too much and they're very bright and you have to
Yeah.
use your imagination, so. But
You mentioned we do a lot of black and white. And what I like to see, and many times I like to see the picture in both the
Mhm.
color
Mhm.
and the black and white, because
Mhm.
in the color, it might fit in one type of an atmosphere, such as an office or a restaurant, whereas the black and white might fit better in a different venue.
Mhm.
So I think I like to see both the color and the black and white when people convert them,
Mhm.
because to
yeah,
me,
they're
it
interesting.
helps me get a feeling of what the photographer was doing or taking the picture of, so that I can understand a little bit about where the person is at.
Mhm.
It's just a thought that I like to see them both. That's just a thought.
Okay, Amy, we're over time now.
Yep.
Is there a specific challenge that you want to present, or do you want me to just pick something?
Well, no, let's do one that where you feel that color leads your eye somehow through the image.
Okay,
Okay.
There's a color element to the picture that helps you look in the image. It doesn't have to be a line. It can be, like I said, like it's still life that I did, but that's my assignment.
Fantastic.
Won't that be fun?
yeah.
Fantastic. Amy, thank you for a wonderful presentation.
You're welcome.
So
Mhm.
many good points, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank
Barbara,
you,
for
Barbara.
for help.
Yeah, well,
I learned a lot of new things today.
Good,
Yeah,
good. All right, you guys, we'll see you later.
okay.
Okay.
Thank-
All right. Take care.
bye.